Two legends, one woman, and a punch that changed everything. What would have happened if Mike Tyson had actually challenged Wesley Snipes? Some fights are born from stupidity, and then there are the ones born from pride. Wesley Snipes, black belt in Shotokan Karate, Hapkido, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The man who turned Blade into a legend, real training, real skills. Mike Tyson, the most lethal predator boxing has ever seen. Iron Mike wasn't a nickname, it was a warning. In the late 80s, inside an exclusive Los Angeles club, a woman triggered the inevitable, and what happened next became Hollywood's most retold urban legend. The city where movie stars and world champions shared the same parties, the same clubs. Wesley Snipes had just wrapped filming on Major League and was becoming one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. He frequented the VIP clubs on Sunset Boulevard, where the entertainment elite stayed out until dawn. According to the most persistent rumors, there was a woman. Some say she was Tyson's ex, others claim she was someone he was currently seeing. What everyone agrees on is this: she was in that club that night and she was talking to Wesley Snipes. Tyson arrived at the club with his usual entourage, bodyguards, trainers, friends. When he stepped into the VIP area, the first thing he saw was that woman. Laughing with Snipes on a private sofa, the club was packed, music blasting, lights low. No one noticed the change in Tyson's expression, but those who knew him well saw the sign. His jaw tightening, his breathing getting heavier. His eyes locked on Snipes. He walked toward them with slow, deliberate steps. "What's going on here?" Tyson's voice cut through the noise. Snipes looked up, calm, confident. It wasn't the first time a jealous man had confronted him, but this time was different. This wasn't an actor. This was Mike Tyson. "We're just talking, man. Relax," Snipes replied, with that trademark smile he had perfected on screen. According to various accounts, the woman tried to calm Tyson down, tried to explain that nothing was happening. But Tyson wasn't listening anymore. "Outside," Tyson said. "You and me." Now, the VIP area went silent. All eyes were on them. Snipes, caught between his ego and his common sense, stood up. "If that's what you want." According to the legend, Tyson and Snipes walked out of the VIP area. Some say they went to the parking lot. Others swear it happened in the club's restroom. The most repeated version says it happened in a back hallway, far from cameras and witnesses. The only certain thing is that club security was nearby, not to participate, but to step in if things got out of control. The club's back hallway was narrow. Concrete walls on both sides, muffled music vibrating through the structure. The only light came from a dim emergency lamp. Snipes took off his leather jacket and tossed it to the ground. At 26, he was in the best shape of his life, muscles defined under his black shirt. He stretched his neck from side to side. He adopted his karate stance, weight on his back leg, hands up, protecting his face. His feet shifted lightly, finding the rhythm. This was a man who had trained with the best, who had spent years perfecting his technique. Confident. Maybe too confident. 3 meters away, Tyson rolled his shoulders. At 22, he was a destruction machine at the peak of his powers. His neck was thicker than most men's heads. His traps looked like slabs of living armor. He didn't take anything off. He didn't prepare with any ritual. He simply raised his fists. That peekaboo guard Customato had drilled into him, hands glued to his face, elbows tight against his ribs. His head began to move. Left, right, up, down, never still, never predictable. His eyes locked onto Snipes, no emotion in them, just focus. The kind of focus a predator has before it strikes. The club security guards positioned themselves at both ends of the hallway, close enough to intervene, far enough not to get in the way. One glanced at his watch. Another shook his head, as if he already knew how this would end. There was no countdown, no bell, no rules, just two men and their pride. The air felt heavy, electric. Then it began. Snipes struck first, according to the rumors, a low kick toward Tyson's lead leg. Fast, technical, the kind of strike used to gauge distance and test reflexes. The impact echoed through the hallway. It landed clean on Tyson's calf. Tyson didn't even blink. He absorbed the kick like it was a tap on the shoulder. His leg stayed planted, solid as concrete. Snipes frowned, only for a microsecond, but long enough to show surprise. He reset his stance, threw a probing jab toward Tyson's face, quick and sharp. Tyson's head slipped out of the way, barely a centimeter to the right. Snipes' fist cut through the air where Tyson's cheek had been a fraction of a second earlier. Snipes stepped back half a pace. His breathing quickened slightly. Now he understood what he was dealing with. This wasn't an actor pretending on a movie set. This was the man who had annihilated world champions. But pride is a powerful drug. Snipes decided to show his full arsenal. Maybe he attempted a spinning kick, the technique he had perfected in his films, or maybe a three-strike combo, jab cross hook. Witnesses remember the movement. What no one remembers precisely is which technique it actually was. What everyone remembers is that the moment Snipes committed to that attack, Tyson saw the opening. Tyson exploded. There's no other word for it. He didn't advance. He didn't step in. He exploded. In less than a second, the distance Snipes thought was safe vanished. Tyson closed the gap like a guided missile. His shoulder slammed into Snipes' chest first, stopping his technique halfway. The air rushed out of Snipes' lungs in a choked gasp, and before he could even process what had happened, the body hook had already landed. The sound was sickening. Security guards who witnessed the moment all describe it the same way, like a baseball bat hitting raw meat. A dull, wet thud that you feel in the pit of your stomach. Snipes folded. His knees betrayed his will. His face twisted in pure agony. He tried to do something, anything his hands reached for Tyson, trying to force a clinch, searching for some jiu-jitsu technique that might buy him a second to recover. But Tyson was already in complete control. With one fluid motion, he shoved Snipes against the concrete wall. The impact echoed through the hallway. Snipes' head hit the wall. Not hard enough to cause real damage, but hard enough to disorient him completely. Tyson didn't waste a second. A short uppercut compact. Perfect. Straight to the chin. The punch traveled barely 6 inches, but it carried all 265 pounds of muscle and fury behind it. Snipes' head snapped back. In the years that followed, the story was retold 1,000 times with 1,000 different variations. Some said Tyson knocked Snipes out with one punch. Others said it was just a shove and some harsh words. Charlie Murphy turned it into comedy. Tabloids inflated it to ridiculous proportions. Wesley Snipes, when asked about it years later, always laughed it off. Tyson and me? Come on, who do you think would win that fight? He never denied it directly, never confirmed it either. Mike Tyson never mentioned the incident in his autobiography, Undisputed Truth. But when asked about fights outside the ring, he smiled and said, "I've had a lot of confrontations nobody knows about. Some things are better left for people to speculate. But what if the fight had really happened? To understand how that showdown might have unfolded, you have to look at what each man brought to the table." Wesley Snipes wasn't just an actor throwing Hollywood punches. He had real training, a lot of it. Years dedicated to Shotokan karate, Hapkido, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu gave him range, technique, and discipline. He was younger, quicker, and far more flexible than most fighters Tyson ever faced outside the ring. His arsenal included fast kicks, sharp elbows, and precise knees, all backed by the rhythm and control of someone who had spent years choreographing complex fight scenes, even if they weren't real combat. But then there was Mike Tyson, a completely different breed. Every punch he threw carried genuine knockout power, the kind that could end a confrontation instantly. Tyson didn't rely on choreography. He relied on experience and actual violence. His close-range speed was explosive, almost unnatural, and his peekaboo style was built for slipping attacks and countering with devastating force. Add to that a predator's mindset, forged in the streets long before the boxing gyms refined it, and you get a man who didn't just fight, he hunted in a confined space, with no rules, between an actor with martial arts training and a professional boxer in his prime. The story would probably end the way the rumors describe: fast, brutal, and with Tyson imposing his will, not because Snipes' martial arts weren't legitimate, but because Tyson had spent his entire life mastering the art of controlled violence. There's a difference between knowing how to fight and needing to fight to survive. Let's be honest, in a no-rules fight, who do you think would be left standing? Does Tyson crush Snipes, or does Snipes shock the world? Drop your theories in the comments. What other Hollywood urban legends do you want us to break down? Leave them below. And if this story blew your mind, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next round.